please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. I don't have a microphone. I'm kind of soft-spoken. I know I'm going to be a horse when I get back. So we'll try to keep it attention. If anyone has or doesn't have a pocket constitution, I strongly encourage you to pick one up. Okay. Right now, our country is under a lot of attacks by our rogue federal government. And if you don't know this, you're in a heap. Okay? You better start reading this Constitution, start with the Declaration of Independence, and start reading the Bill of Rights. Because you're going to need to know them, because we're losing quick. Oath Keepers was founded by Stuart Rhodes on April 19, 2009, and it was the anniversary of the first fight at Lexington Green. And he is a former paratrooper, and he got injured in the night jump. And he's I think it's Cornell University that he graduated from with a degree in criminal justice and constitutional law. And so very brilliant. We have a lot of constitutional scholars in with us. One is Richard Fry of the Patriot Coalition. And he helps us devise resolutions that we submit to various counties in Oregon. And what we're doing right now, Oath Keepers is a nonprofit organization. We're an educational foundation. We're not a militia. We don't endorse, let people endorse militias on our website because it's not that we're against them at all. We encourage them as long as they're sanctioned within the county sheriff's office or what have you, civil defense force if you want to call it that. But if we go ahead and say, hey, we allow militias and whatever, Southern Poverty Law Center is going to jump on that and left wing and jump on, and then call us militias, and then our credibility is gone. What we do is we reach, teach, and inspire others to honor their oath that they took, and especially elected officials, police officers, military. We want them to keep that oath. Now, I took an oath back in 1981, took it again in '89. That oath, can anyone tell me when that expired? Never. It expires when we expire, right? Okay. Hopefully we don't expire too soon. But these elected officials have a hard time understanding that. Now, when we were in Coos Bay on the 17th, we proposed a resolution to them back on the 12th. We asked for a work session to bring this information about the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012 to the county, to the city, asking to sign a resolution forbidding the city employees, police department from enacting it and working with the federal government on unconstitutional laws. We're going to get into that in a minute. I'm just kind of hitting spots here for now, so you know what we're going to do. Anyway, these people, they say, well, I don't think we have the ability to find out what's constitutional or not. We better wait for those 9 Supreme Court judges in black robes to decide for us. Okay, I say then, of course, they've been in service for about 235 years, roughly, Supreme Court, and we've had problems with the Constitution ever since, but we've always resolved it. You don't dare trample on the Bill of Rights. Those are not to be infringed, am I right? But what are they doing? They're infringing on it. We're not going to allow it, not on our watch, and that's what Oath Keepers' motto is. We're about 25,000 strong, and we're growing exponentially. In Oregon, there's about 500 of us, and we're getting bigger and bigger. And we have some good news, too. Coos County has passed a resolution stating that they are against the NDAA, the sections 1021 and 1022, subsection D, counterterrorism, in the NDAA. Does anyone here not know what the NDAA is? Raise your hand, don't feel ashamed if you don't know. Okay. The National Defense Authorization Act of 2012 was passed July 31st, 2011 to go into effect January 2012 by pseudo-President Obama. Did I say that?
It was 2 years prior to that.
I'm sorry?
He signed it into law 2 years before that.
It's a spending bill, military spending bill that's been in effect for 51 years. Okay? But this time, they included that section under Section D, counterterrorism, 1021 and 1022. That makes it the applicable of the authorization for use of military force. Let me back up. The AUMF, we'll call it that, and the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act destroyed your Fourth Amendment search and seizure. Wiretaps galore. We don't need it. We're going to zoom in on your earpiece. We're going to listen to your phone records. We're going to tap into your emails. NSA accidentally recorded 5 billion phone calls and conversations the last few years. Is that right? Accidentally, my bad. Okay, they've been doing this, violating our civil rights all this time, and here we got someone in the high places letting us know about it. Edward Snowden, in my opinion, he's a hero. This guy, Edward Snowden, is not a traitor, as they want us to believe. He is telling us what's happening, and he's risked his life, and he's given up everything to do that. Everything. I'm proud of him. Those people are proud of him. And we need more people. We put up a billboard sign out there in front of these federal buildings and stuff that says, "Honor your oath, do as Edward Snowden," right there in the subway in D.C. So people standing around there waiting for their subway to come by, and they're looking across and they see this great big old sign, you know, and honor your oath like Snowden did. I'm not talking about treasonous stuff like the FBI, what was his name, back in the early 90s. Anyway, he got caught with espionage. He's been in the FBI for 25-something years. Anyway, that was wrong. That was definitely wrong, as far as we know. Now, okay. I want to give you a little story about, afterwards we're going to have a Q&A, but I want to give you a little story about patriotism. Anyone ever heard of Samuel Whitmore? Samuel Whitmore was a British soldier. He got stationed over here in the United States from Britain. And he was a captain during the French and Indian Wars back in the 1750s. So he decided to stay and retire in this new land. Well, he was 67, I believe, at the time that he was still fighting in the French and Indian War. Now, he, on April 19th, 1775, he's retired. He's out there in his garden, out in the field working, and he hears all this commotion. And everybody in the area, this is in Concord and Lexington area. Everyone in the area knew about the British. The British were coming into Concord to take over the armory and to arrest Samuel Adams and John Hancock. They both got away. John Hancock was a shipping merchant, and he refused to start hauling British supplies. He wouldn't do it anymore. Boycott. Well, they were pretty mad. So they were going after him, but he was very wealthy, and so he supplied a lot of the money to help build an army, a continental army. So these guys were our founding fathers, and they weren't a bunch of old stupid guys. You know, Hamilton was only 21. Jefferson, what, 35? The oldest guy in there was Ben Franklin, 70. Okay? So they weren't a bunch of stupid old white men with gray hair. Those were wigs. Okay. Anyway. Under the United States Constitution, we're going to talk about we're going to talk about Samuel Whitmore. I got to finish that. Samuel Whitmore. I just got a little excited because I got up early this morning and I was thinking everything in my head what I'm going to say to you when I get in front of you, and then half of the stuff you forget, right? Okay, so Samuel Whitmore's out there working, and he sees troops, redcoats, come marching down, and there was about 1,800 of them, and they were grenadiers. Does anyone know what a grenadier was back then? Grenadier was the largest, strongest soldier that they had. They used to throw these 6-pound grenades, okay, lead grenades, and they would lit fuse, and they heave them as far as they could. So you need a big, bulky guy. Samuel goes inside of his house, and he says to his kids and his wife, grandchildren, he says, "Stay in." And where are you going? "I'm going out to meet the enemy." He takes his French musket that he got in the Indian War, a sword, and 2 French pistols. Now, they each only fire 1 shot. So he heads out with his powder horn and a bag of shot, splint block, and he takes a position inside this rock wall next to a house, right alongside the road. And he waits. And he sees these guys coming, marching down, probably 4 abreast, coming towards the town. What's he do? He stands out in the road and he picks up that French musket. Boom! He just nails that one, drops it. Bam! Another one comes rushing, he pulls out a pistol. Bam! Mortally wounds him, takes out another one. Bam! Duns him right there. Then they charge him. He pulls out his sword and he starts to attack them. He's going into these people. All right. They butt stroke him. They stab him 13 times with a bayonet. As they're running by him, they're beating him with a club. 13 times in a man's body with a bayonet over 18 inches long. Okay? Before that, one guy shoots him with a 69 caliber bullet right to the face. Bam! That's the size of a 12 gauge 1 ounce slug. Okay? 12 gauge. Knocks him down. His family finally gets to him. After the troops have gone past. He's bleeding. He's just barely alive. He's reloading his musket. Okay. So, they take him home to die. That man lived 18 more years, and when this incident happened, he was 80 years old. He lived to be 98 and drove this bastard into the ground. Now, what do you think of that for patriotism? Is that something for Whitmore? Well, we need more of those guys, right? Samuel Whitmore. He knew the enemy because why? He trained them. He knew what he was up against, and they knew what they were going to do. If they controlled we'd be speaking British right now. Well, wait. Probably sound like Aussie, the whole mix of it. But it didn't happen. Luckily, we were able to get our country in order, line up our ducks, sign the Declaration of Independence, and create the country that we've never had before. And they call it an experiment because there was nothing else to gauge it against. They took from the Magna Carta, the full 15, and they used that from the British Magna Carta to begin our Constitution. That's the only thing we had to compare it to. But under the Magna Carta, we had begin a parliamentary position under the king, where they could suggest things, but he still ruled. Well, our ancestors, including mine and some of yours, fought, and I have several of them. I've done the family history. We went way back in the 1600s here. And some of yours have also been fighting for our rights. Look around you, folks. Look at what's happening. The NSA, there's 21 law enforcement agencies, federal ones, under the Department of Homeland Security. FBI, CIA, DIA, NSA, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all of them are under this, okay? FEMA is under Homeland Security. Homeland Security should be definitely shut down. It is not for us. It is against us. The NDAA is nothing less than an act of declaration of war against the American people. I don't want any of you to take my word for this. I want you to look at it yourself. We've done our research on this. We have constitutional scholars and people from all over digging in behind this. Judges entered Napolitano, you know him? And he says it's unconstitutional, right? What do you guys think? If they violate about 14 amendments, don't you think it's unconstitutional? Do we need black robes telling us what is and what isn't right? How many of you have fought in the war? Several of you, right? Thank you very much for your service. I really mean that. Without you, we wouldn't be here. I thank you for and doing what you had to do for this country, and look how they repay you. Look what they do. If you get a letter in the mail from the Veterans Administration asking you questions like, are you able to handle your own finances, or are you feeling like you have post-traumatic stress disorder, or are you feeling anxiety or a little depression, you know? And if you sign that and send that in, they're gonna send you a notice that says you're unable to take care of your own finances, so we're gonna take your guns from you. Even World War II vets, who's got problems from being on Iwo Jima, Okinawa, Normandy, getting their guns taken from them. Even if the woman of the house just married them 20 years ago and they're her guns, as long as they're in that house, they're taking them. They've already taken over 240,000 nationwide, some by force, veterans, United States Army, all military veterans have taken them away. We're not hearing about it in major mainstream media because they don't want that to be known. It's really getting rough out there with all these executive orders and stuff. It's amazing. Look up, Google it. Executive orders. You're going to see that Obama has signed over 915, I believe, executive orders just in 4 years. And you look at all the others, like all the other presidents, some did none, some did 3, some did 20. This guy does 915 executive orders. We'll get to that later. Okay, the NDAA authorizes, well, the authorization for use of military force was passed September 14th of 2001, and it authorizes the armed forces to use military against anyone who they determine planned, aided, abetted in the 9/11 attacks, and it's retroactive. Or anyone who applied a belligerent act. How can you define a belligerent act? What is that? Yes, sir.
This conversation we're having right now under the NDAA, if you ever read the entire file, which I have, it actually allows them to come in here and arrest us right now for this conversation.
That's right.
Because we are a form of anarchy to the government.
But you know what?
And also, Leon Panetta on 60 Minutes Live said, it is legal for the United States government to assassinate me, to talk like I'm talking on American soil.
That's right. And you know what?
And I
My
have
colors are
congressional
going
medal of
down.
honor.
What's that?
And I got a congressional medal of honor.
Stand up and give this man an applause.
That kind of really disgusts me. I was 37 months in the jungles of Cambodia and Laos. I was in the Korean War before that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See, that's why I'm not quitting. You. When I started in law enforcement, by the way, I'm retired from law enforcement. I don't recognize these guys today. I retired in 97. There's something called a thin blue line. It doesn't exist. It only exists when you're in the department for other officers, you know. I'm not going to let this man's valor grow in vain. I refuse. I wear my shirt with pride. I've got this on my sleeve and I got it on my coat. Any SOB want to take it off and go for it. Okay? I call them down. And I don't care what the NSA does or anything. I do not care. I've got contingency plans for that. So, the authorization of use of military force and the Patriot Act basically destroyed the Fourth Amendment right to search and seizure. They can tap your phones. Now, I'm going to tell you something a little bit different about local law enforcement versus federal law enforcement. Whenever a police officer, federal or local, writes out a search warrant, I want to search John Doe's house for this, that, and the other. Local cop goes to the judge and says, sir, I'd like to have you please review this warrant and sign it if you feel it's according to the law. So the judge does the same, signs it, and there you go. Service. Federal law enforcement now, under the Patriot Act, have the authority to not only write their search warrants, but sign them as well. They can approve their own work. That's ridiculous. Approve their own work. And they all use it on the guise of terrorism, folks. Don't fall for it. Not at all. Now, I want to argue the fact that this applies to American citizens. Returning military veterans. This is it. This is what it applies to. Supporters for border security, gun rights activists, expressions of libertarian philosophies like statements with bumper stickers. I got a Ron Paul bumper sticker on the car. And Obama, worst enemy in public want, #1, but I don't care. Second Amendment oriented views, NRA gun club membership, holding a concealed handgun license permit, survivalist literature. Let's see. Patriots and let's see. Self-sufficiency, stockpiling food, ammo, and hand tool of medical supplies. You know, they tell you in an emergency what should you have, and then they tell you if you have more than 7 days food, you could be a terrorist. Enemy combatant, unlawful enemy combatant, unprivileged enemy combatant. We all fit into it. Okay. Tea Party members, people who voted for Ron Paul, if you believe in New World Order conspiracy. Yeah. Okay. So, Christians, any Christians in here? You better not be under the guise of the law enforcement and the feds. By God, we won't allow it because it's not in the Muslim belief. Homeschooling, if you believe in the Declaration of the Constitution, the constitutional rights and civil liberties. What is this becoming? We're becoming a land of surveilled people. How do you feel about that? Safer? Do you feel about these cameras up in the sky or up on a telephone pole, looking down on you, zooming in on your apartment? No. Well, I watched a movie here a while back, and it was in Scotland, and filmed in Scotland, and there was a lady, and her job was as a monitor, so she had all these screens, and she would be watching, you know, with the little joystick and move the camera around. She could see alleys and windows, and she'd zoom in on the window and see people making love and all this stuff. And that's what we're looking at now, surveillance state, okay? And so we can't allow that to happen in our country, can we? We have to stop it. If you were called upon by the sheriff of this county and say, hey, we need a civilian defense force, who in here would help that sheriff? I would. I would help that sheriff. Before they call FEMA in, who takes control of everything, okay? They want to use our local law enforcement, and they really get mad when I say this. They get prideful. When I say you're going to be used as dogs and taxi cabs, and you're going to use your holding cell for detained persons. And they have that ability to do that. I don't have time to get into fusion centers or FEMA camps or anything like that, but let me tell you, you can guarantee it, they're out. Who can expect indefinite detention? All of these people I said, anyone that fits, everybody in here, okay? Everybody. Let's just put it that way. Senator Lindsey Graham stood there on the Senate floor and said, if you even think of committing a terrorist act, 3 things will come to you. 1, death, detention, and prosecution. And he even got them in the backwards order. It should be prosecuted. Okay. And America is the battlefield. So they've already proven it. Yeah, they can use drones on American soil. Americans can be hit with a drone from 30,000 feet. Obama said it himself. They won't see it coming. You think I'm kidding, don't you? That's what he said. You think I'm joking? He meant it. Now watch his eyes, listen to what he says. And before everyone claps at the end, he always throws his last end in over everyone clapping. I'll give you an example. In 2008, his chief of staff, well, later chief of staff, President-elect, I don't know what I'm saying, but anyway, what he did is he says, we need to have a civilian security force, just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded as our military. Well, guess who that civilian security force is? It's DHS, FEMA, AmeriCorps, and AmeriCorps Justice. Okay? And what that does is AmeriCorps Vista is a program where they take your children from junior high school, and he said this is called universal citizenship and there was Ron Emanuel who said, citizenship is not an entitlement. You have to know what it's like to become an American and to be deserving of it. This is a guy who's got Israeli and American citizenship. He used to fly to Israeli airport. Rahm Emanuel. Now he's the Chicago mayor. What do you think of that? So, they can keep Chicago. The NDAA. I don't want people out here. I want you to understand the difference between local and federal law enforcement. Just because you got these blue lights behind you doesn't mean he's a Fed, doesn't mean that he's going to take your guns from you, arrest you, or whatever, okay? And your local law enforcement are going to read your Miranda rights. They are going to assist you. They're going to help you out, take your calls. Yeah, some of them are jerks. I don't totally admit that. Even worse today. But don't take it out on local law enforcement for something the feds are doing. Now, under the 1033 program in the Pentagon, it started in 1997 where they have over 17,000 police agencies in the United States have gotten military surplus equipment. How did we get from Adam 12 to SWAT teams, right? So, I'll show you something here in a second. That's part of it. When I was working in my department, ever since I started, I always had to supply my own equipment, my own pistol, my own gear, shoes, belt, everything except the uniform, okay? Now, when departments are struggling, they're willing to take anything they can get. And a lot of it's because of officer safety issues. They don't want their cops getting killed on some guy with a weapon. With a weapon, they rush in on a crime scene. I understand that, but not to violate anyone's constitutional rights. I will not stand for that. So that's how they're being supplied right now. You know that up in Alaska they have an EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, formed in 1972 by Nixon, right? What do? They raid a gold mine camp with full SWAT gear. My nephew was there. He said, Uncle Tom, I was not in any danger. I don't have a gold mine. And you know why they were creeping through the woods? And this is the EPA's excuse. We wanted to ensure that they were operating their sluice boxes accordingly and not muddying up the water. They came in with tack team, jackets, vests, police, EPA crap on, and weapon magazines, helmets, all kinds of. And I think even the Forest Service was involved, but don't take my word for that. And they rounded people up basically and harassed them. And they didn't do nothing. This is stupid. The EPA gives an excuse that we heard that these people were dangerous and that they were considered armed. Well, yeah, everyone in Alaska is armed. That's just the way it is up there. That's where I'm from. My brother, we're from Sarbanes. So what I like doing, I really enjoy this myself, is, remember something. Generation, Invigoration, Volunteerism, and Education, a.k.a. the National Security Force, made up of America's youth between 18 and 25. Citizenship is not an entitlement program. It comes with responsibilities, he wrote. The plan, Universal Citizen Service, Rahm Emanuel. Universal? That means under the UN. And if your kid comes home with a Common Core book, get rid of it.
Yep.
Get rid of it. They even show how they got the Constitution in there, and they got it all extra stuff. They got it wrong. They don't even quote it. They're teaching these kids that it's wrong. See? Not right. Now, I want to tell you about the oath and what they have. We have 3 protections. Okay, from federal abuse, 3 protections. 1 is the United States Constitution. Article 6, Clause 3, and it is the oath that all elected officials, state officers take. Then we got Oregon, Article 3, Section 15, that does the same, and it's even got stronger worded language. Then, has anyone ever heard of the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics? Okay, there's your third. That's a little known thing that is not very known to the general public. You witnessed yourself. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve mankind, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all men to liberty, equality, and justice. That's just the first paragraph. And some people sign it. State police sign theirs on that. So why don't they enforce it? Well, this is an ethical thing, like the doctor's hypocritical, hypocritical. But anyway, you can't hold them to it, but you can only do it departmentally. They can nail them on, failing to obey department policy. But that might not even happen. Most of them don't even realize how much about the Constitution that there is to know it. And when I was working in law enforcement, I didn't know as much as I do today because now I'm more into it. I made my mistakes, unintentionally, albeit, but if I did wrong, I owned up to it. If I accidentally searched someone I shouldn't have, and I lost the case, I didn't have a problem. I used to go to court before the judge and everyone showed up, and I'd give me a ticket, and I'd say, hi, I'm Austin McCurran. Remember me? Oh, yeah. And they'd stare at me like a skip guy. And I said, I wish you all the best of luck. I hope you do fine. And I go sit down. I have no hard feelings about it. Nothing personal at all. I don't care. And they look at me like, who? Who's this guy? Is this a cop? He's not being a jerk. Well, I didn't have to be, because I stood by my ethics, There's something else I want to tell you about. The executive orders, well, the National Defense Resources and Preparedness Act. Has anyone ever heard of that? The NDRP. The NDRP is NDAA's little brother. And what that is, and you probably know what it is, it's a foraging thing. And what it does is it says that the United States military can, when they set up an emergency or martial law, they can come in and they can raid farms, homes, vehicles, tractors, seeds, clothing, food, you name it, gardens, greenhouses, whatever they need for the benefit of their client. To it, vague, I want that hammer. Bring it over. You can't do crap about it. You fight them, you're going to be held indefinitely. Rendition to a foreign country or entity of one of the coalition partners or the foreign country of your birth. Held indefinitely without counsel, held without the writ of habeas corpus. You don't get an attorney, shut up, sit down. You're an enemy, come back. That's Lindsey Graham for you, South Carolina. Get rid of them. Okay? All of them, get rid of them. They need to claim house. If you ever see one of these, you can see on the FBI's website. There's 25 of these pages, and it's called Communities Against Terrorism, Potential Indicators of Terrorist Activities Related to Shopping Malls and Entertainment Facilities. Okay? On this side it says, if you see, do. Okay? 25. And what they consist of, well, I have a list here, I'll just go over it. Sporting goods stores, this one's sporting goods, related to shopping malls and entertainment facilities. And they got ones for sporting goods, they got ones for women's beauty salons. They've got them for clerks, 7-Elevens. They got them for all kinds of different areas in our system. All the stores, they got them all for everything. So they want people to snitch on everyone else. They want us to, if you notice, they're doing a lot of the military training and practicing inside, and they got foreign troops going, they're just walking the streets, and they got their M4s and their AK-47s, Russians and Chinese, whatever, and they're doing neighborhood watch programs for our safety, against terrorism. They want us to be safe, okay? I feel safe already. You're more likely to get hit by lightning twice in your life than ever be a victim of terrorist activity. So what they've done is they've taken it and run with it. And they're keeping us scared and keeping us under control by fear, intimidation, and coercion. Would you agree with me or not?
Yes.
So, getting back to Coos Bay. 7 learned people on the city of Coos Bay decides that they can't tell what's constitutional or not. Their city attorney says, this needs to go back to the court system. I said, over 230 years and you want to go back to the court system? It's already been done and dealt with. This is unlawful. It's unconstitutional. What's the first thing if you get pulled over by a police officer here and he just makes you have a bunch of search and stuff, and you say, stop, you don't have a warrant, you don't have a problem cause, and he says, shut up. So yeah, you don't get insurance. Is that going to fly with you?
No.
What are you going to do?
You're gonna get an actual one.
Okay, you're going to take it to court, you're going to fight it, and you're going to probably file a civil lawsuit. Now, the feds don't care. Now, I told the city of Coos Bay that, you ever heard of vicarious liability? Okay, remember the V, turn it upside down, instead of rolling downhill, it goes up. So, everyone listed, everyone who was involved in that arrest, be it city police, county, state, if they, in essence, if they assist federal law enforcement agency with effecting unconstitutional arrest on American citizens or lawful residents, they in effect have violated that same right, and they are not covered under the color of the law. You understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
They're wrong. Wrong. And I don't care what they say. No man is going to take my rights away. No better than me.
They become personally responsible, and you can sue them personally.
That's right. And I'll tell you, there was a man named Brandon Robb. Anyone heard of him? So, yeah, okay. Brandon Robb was a decorated Marine from, I think he spent time in Afghanistan and Iraq. He comes home and he's practicing his First Amendment on his Facebook page. And he's talking about, we're going to go down and start the revolution. Well, it was about the Ron Paul revolution he's talking about. You know, they were going to Tampa and all that. We're going to get this stuff rolling. Well, the feds didn't like it. Secret Service, FBI, and the guy lived in Virginia. So what do? They contact Chesterfield County Police. We need your help in arresting this guy. But what they did is they didn't arrest him under the NDAA, but they put him under a mental hold under Virginia law. But they neglected, they held him for a week, they neglected to advise him of his rights, which technically they don't really have to. They don't ask him any questions pertaining to the illegal act, but since the feds were going to charge him under it, then they have to. So Judge Merritt, Circuit Court, kicked him loose and said this is wrong. Well, now, Chesterfield, Virginia, Brandon Robb is going to be sitting pretty, I'll tell you that. He's got those police officers named, and he's got the chief named, and everybody is hauled down the list as respondents. And he's the chief petitioner. And all the federal agents are John Doe 1, 2, 3, and up. Okay? They don't have names for them yet. Isn't that something? Why not? Well, anyway, so when I told that to the city manager of Coos Bay, and I said, you know, if your police act on this, they're going to get sued. So we'll get insurance. Oh, really? Well, I have the background as an insurance adjuster, and I can tell you this, that you may get away with it one time, but when your insurance company finds out that you have a resolution in front of you that you could have prevented this and you didn't, you think they're going to pay out? Now, times that by 10 arrests by the federal government that your officers helped arrest. You cannot survive it, period. Do you think you can? I don't. I do not. So, rest assured, folks, that your rights are in jeopardy. Who thinks that they are not?
You have to ask somebody about your rights, and you probably don't have any.
Well, remember I talked about this, the AmeriCorps Vista? Here's an article out of Rotherford, March 15th this year. AmeriCorps Vista paid staffers visited Umpqua Community College campus to enlist UCC students in Vista employment and to offer a variety of other free services to them on Tuesday, March 12th. So what they do, they handed out to students free services. They pass out cards for students to get subsidized housing, Oregon Trail cards, which is The card offers students a chance to dial 211 for free live confidential access to services. And the students can access even more taxpayer funds. Federal employees recruiting the students to fight poverty using tax dollars to do so is not compassionate, said this guy, Vincent. It's wrong. A group Vincent belongs to is Young Americans for Liberty. Very good group on that. But these people passing this out wrong. And what they're doing is they're trying to entice these kids into joining us. And what they say is, when you join this AmeriCorps Vista, AmeriCorps National, wherever they got, people carrying them in hands, what's going to happen is, and it will become mandatory, he even said it, and it will be mandatory, universal security service. During your junior high school, you have to submit 50 hours per year of community service. Doesn't matter what it is. As long as you help out the community, filling sandbags, or doing whatever they want. Per year during your junior high. When you're in high school, you do it 100 hours per year, donated time. Between 18 and 25 years old, you must attend a 3-month boot camp military-style training camp. You can't get out of that for kids. So if you're 25, you're good. Right before up to 25, the day before, you're still eligible to do this. Along with that comes selective service for women to be enrolled in combat. Not with the guys, fighting the guys. I don't think it's right, though. Now you've seen those MRAPs. That's called mine resistant ambush protected. And what they are, you've seen what they look like. Inside holds 10 guys, including the driver and passenger. 8 guys in the back, 5 guys on each side on a rail. Gun ports out from the inside. Gun turret at top. With accessories if you get the 30 cal or 50 cal, or the SAW, whatever you call them today. So they can accessorize these vehicles. And not only that, Lane County, I think, just got an APC, an armed personnel carrier, and they've got 5 Humvees. Now, they did this out of the 1033 program, which basically is to the Pentagon, like I said. And they started just handing this stuff out like candy. Now, all these departments got this right here. Vests, everything. Tasers, you name it. Nightsticks. They're sending it to these guys. And they retrofitted over 2,717 of these things to the Marine Corps and the U.S. Army. And if you divide it up equally, it's about 54 per state if they did it equally, which they won't. They'll put a few in one town, a few in another, maybe one here. I don't know. Maybe one for this county. But I don't know what's going to happen with it. But that's what's happening, where people are becoming so apathetic, they're not paying attention to what's happening around them. It's just something. So I encourage you to get out there and study. Look it up yourself. Don't take my word for it. As far as I'm concerned, otherwise. I'm not telling you the truth at all. Now, is there anything that I said that anyone disbelieves? No? Everyone believes the word I said? I told you not to. Okay. That's right. This is an old test. Now, anyway, about this AmeriCorps Vista, keep your kids out. Don't do it. Obamacare, I think the House failed to pass it, which is great. It's stay away from it. Because so many of those things in Obamacare are hidden inside it, creating doctors to be snitches and to inform you and to report that you have anxiety problems, and also you may have guns. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to come to get you. So let's take some questions. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask?
I got a question.
Yeah.
If our military, if our law enforcement agencies, local, county, are receiving federal grants of money, equipment, anything, training, we, the local citizens, lose control of the law enforcement in our county. They're receiving candy from some outside force or outside entity. Where's their beholden? Who do they behold to?
Exactly.
So I don't understand how we're even allowed to take grants, or who gave them the power to apply for federal outside money with strings attached.
I want you to look up Coos Bay Media Center. Coos Bay Media Center. And on it, you're gonna see a Coos Bay, it's gonna be, it'll show a police officer standing there on the video, and it's Coos Bay dated, the 17th, just the other day. Watch it, Coos Bay Media Center. There's a drop-down box, you can hit, click, and it'll go down to Coos Bay, county, city, state, wherever. Go to this Coos Bay, click on it, and it'll pop up. Let's watch a video. Myself and another man, Rob Shield, Coos County Watchdog is in there. And listen to the city attorney giving advice to the learned individuals up there on the throne. It's sickening. And he addresses just what this man said. They're to lose that government hit. That's what it's about. They don't want to lose it. And the attorney even warned him about it. The federal government frowns on people who don't go along with it. And this could cause us problems. Or not. You know, they frown. They don't like it when we don't go along. Another lady says, I don't like the idea about us going up against the federal government. Another one says, you're telling us to tell our police officers not to do their job. I'm telling them to do their job and abide by the Constitution. Follow it, obey it, honor your oath to support it and defend it. Don't go along with these federal thugs, because I will sue you if I can. Get out. Under the oath. Did that answer your question? I didn't answer your question.
No, there's no answer.
That's part of it, but the media center I want you to watch, that's part of it. But what's happening is, they don't say it. Now, I was in Coos County Court, the Commissioner's office several times, and in there, the sheriff would come up, agenda items, and he'd sit there, and he'd request permission to apply for and receive this grant from the Department of Homeland Security for $2,000 plus bucks, or $12,000 or whatever. And the commissioners would think about it, think back, okay, fantastic, and every task, thank you, here, okay, after about 40. So yeah, they're going to be hesitant about signing something against the federal government. They're going to be hesitant because they're afraid that they're going to come down on them. Well, number one, it's your tax money. It's ours. I'm not worried about that. And if they're going to hold that against the departments, then we don't want their help. We don't need them. Okay? They've really gone overboard. They've just gone too far this time. And now, I mean, they've gone after every amendment you can imagine. Let's see here. I've got something on that. Let's see. I think now I know it violates the 14th Amendment, the 1st, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, 9th, 14th, 13th. And the Universal Security Service I talked about violates the 13th Amendment for neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So how can they mandate something like this when it violates all these provisions of the Constitution? The 14th Amendment is the one all protecting that helps, that proves. Let's pull out my book.
Violation of personal liberty.
That's right. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Okay? Now, that's a guarantee right there, the 14th Amendment. And the NDAA violates that. Every bit of it. Okay? How would you feel if you got picked up on something like that and you couldn't defend yourself? Subject to torture, execution in a foreign land, you don't know where you're at, and you're subject to laws of that country. Does that sound right to you? The Constitution protects you anywhere in the world as a a U.S. citizen. It's supposed to. What are we going to do about this? Any suggestions? What
It
do we
doesn't
do?
protect you anywhere in the world. I mean, the
sorry?
Constitution protects you within our,
protects you
within
in
our
our
United
world.
States area, but anywhere else in the world, no, you don't have any rights in Mexico.
You have the Constitution that protects you under federal law. You still, as an American citizen, you have the constitutional rights that will protect you, get you embassy, and they will protect you. But, I mean, they'll work to get you out, hopefully. I see what you're saying, but when we go to coalition forces, the NDAA will do that. That allows for it. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Under martial law, don't we lose our constitutional rights?
Well, what they say is, under emergency, well, they say under martial law, a state of emergency, natural disaster, man-made or other, it's all day, okay? Or other emergencies that the president may deem necessary for the safety and security and the peace of the land. That could mean anything, anything. It's so vague. If you listen to the words of this stuff, and I can't see why a county or a city wouldn't pass a resolution going against the NDAA. It's ridiculous. 97 senators voted in favor of the NDAA. Both our senators, Merkley and Wyden, they voted against it. And one abstained. Out of 100 federal senators, okay? And that's crazy. What have we become? Socialists? We're going into socialism, folks, and it's a slow roll in.
It's not socialism, it's fascism.
It's a little bit of everything, everything. You can call it anything you want. It's plain wrong. Okay? If our founding fathers knew what was happening right now, they wouldn't be rolling in their grave. No. They'd be spinning in them. They'd come out shooting, and then they'd crawl back in disgusted with what they stand and let it happen to this country. So we can't let what they gave us, what they earned with their blood and sweat, what they passed down to us with the rule book, and how to handle this problem that we're experiencing today. So we need to contact our senators and our congressmen and say, stand behind what you swore to protect, and that's the Constitution. And everything else that's not in it is illegal and not to be played with. I'll tell you what, 1803, Mulberry versus Madison, states anything made not in pursuance of the Constitution is null and void from the face of it. Okay? It means nothing. So even up to today, that law is still in effect. Mulberry versus Madison. They want us to rely on Supreme, and then Goose County even over that. We need to hear from a competent judge that this is unconstitutional. I said, well, we've got Catherine Forrest, the federal judge. We've got Virginia Court, the Circuit Court, Merritt. We've got Judge Andrew Napolitano and tons of others. And, okay, she says, Melissa Cribbins, News Bay manager for the city, News Bay Commissioner, said, yes, but they're not in our jurisdiction. What is that? And she's an attorney. Yeah, I love it. And they hate it when I tell them that they're violating their oath. I love it. Because, we finally get a chance to really, the power is in us, right? The power not get delegated to the federal government, it's delegated to the states. Those people have a responsibility to protect our rights, and it's our responsibility to ensure that they do. If they don't, we get them the hell out, right? So let's start doing that. Let's start initiatives or recalls or whatever we need to do to get them out, and stop funding unknown people in the military. If they try to go to Syria, stand down. Don't go. You are not required to follow an unconstitutional, immoral order, no matter who it belongs to or come from, right? Sir, am I right? And where you from? Yes. Okay.
Let's start with getting these military flags out of all of our public offices.
Okay.
Get them out.
That's
Because
a
that means that we're
maritime
operating
flag.
under executive law.
Yep.
The Constitution does not apply to get them out of every building, every room, every office that they're in.
And that's one thing that I don't touch on because I don't have a lot of time here, but that in itself right there is the maritime law, and that deals with the law of the sea. And that comes from England. Okay? Did you know that every dollar you spend, the Queen of England is given like a tiny percentage of it. That's why she's the most richest person in the world, because she owns over 51% of the stock of Bank of England. So, we're still hooked into that Bank of England, okay?
Control and stockholder of DD.
I don't know much about the stock system, but I know that she owns a big chunk of it. She doesn't have to do anything but lift her little finger. That's it. It makes you sick when you think about it. And I've been studying this for a long, long time. We're talking to people all the time about it. And you would be surprised at the people that really don't know what their rights are or what's going on around them. You know what? We watch TV, we're apathetic, we work, we don't want to deal with this stuff anymore. TV's on, trying to take money out of your pocket. It just makes you sick. I can tell you, and I'm very happy about this, that this is, September 9th was my 7th year of not having television in my house. 7 years. And you know what? I feel better about it already. Because every time I watch TV, I get mad. I'd be in a motel room, I can't listen to it. I want to turn on the news, I can't listen to it. I see that pseudo-president talking, I turn him off. I can't stand listening to it. So, if I want to watch a movie, I put it in a DVD player or on Netflix. I don't, commercial free. Indoctrination free.
Television isn't really about entertainment or informing us, it's about telling us how to think.
It's
How to
manipulating.
think. It's not about entertainment or information. The news is not about informing us, it's about telling us how to think. It's indoctrination, everything about it,
If you look up CNN, and you look up the thing behind it, who owns it, and all this stuff, how it was developed, you might find the CIA behind some of that. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
The other thing to check out is your water. If you have fluoride in your water,
Yeah.
look up fluoride
Right.
and look up what's in it. It's part of what keeps us drugged and out.
That's right. That's another thing too.
I've been without TB for over 20 years,
Good for
and I
you.
drink pure spring water.
Good for you.
And my thinking is real different than most people.
That's right. A lot of things, what I wanted to ask you real quick is, before we leave, what we do is, I'm a volunteer. I do this on free grounds, and we barely make it around, but we do all this on free. So what I'm going to do is, after this, we're going to defend rural America. Are any of you folks going there? You guys are going to defend rural America in Grants Pass, 5 to 8 tonight at the fairgrounds? Tonight, 5 to 8. Yeah, defend rural America at the Grants Pass fairgrounds.
Is it on the news?
Well, I don't know. Oh, okay. I get it on the net, my alternative. And some of this stuff sounds far-fetched, right? It sounds like conspiracy theories. I hate that. You know what? It's conspiracy facts. That's what it is. Okay? Sure.
My daughter is at Mountain Home Air Force Base, and I was shocked to hear that there is a permanent F-16 squadron based out of Singapore. It's a Singapore squadron from Singapore, based in Mountain Home Air Force Base in the United States, permanently based there.
We've got about 40 to 60,000 Chinese and Russian troops in this country, all over the country.
Well, some of that you can believe, some of it, I don't know, it could be higher or lower. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Tony, I hate doing it, but I'm going to ask Tony if she could please pass the donation can around. If you've got a couple bucks you can throw in there, that'd be great. We've got bumper stickers and decals. I've got 4 hats there for 25 bucks each, or 30 without shipping and handling. So if anyone wants to do that, that's great. I appreciate it. I want to tell you something. Wait, you had a question back there. Your hand was up? Yeah, you.
Just about this NDA.
Oh, you, okay. Sorry about that.
I watched this NDA finally unfold. I want to know more about what it was. And what I learned is that every year we have an NDAA.
Yeah,
It's an appropriations bill.
that's right. 51 years of it.
And what I see happening is when this stuff got put in, that's anti-constitutional, all these things. And a lot of these senators are basically got a situation where they have to pass it in budget. And so they a lot of them fold because the president is asked to do so. It doesn't mean it's right. They stood their grounds. And I would say that I believe that the only way we can get around this is you're going to have to fire these guys that sign for it, no matter what the reasons are. I can tell you they did it a lot of times because they had to have a budget.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is our legislator has gotten to be lazy. That's why we have so many agencies.
I can tell you,
We have executive branch offices that create laws, and I'm cognizant, and delved into several of those, but I don't have a lifetime of reading all these regulations coming at us.
No, there's no
Congress
way
is
you
that
can.
lazy.
There's no way you can. They say ignorance of the law is not an affirmative defense, but I can fight that.
But I can tell you we're all ignorant, because every step we make, every breath we take, we're breaking one of them.
That's right.
regulations.
You can't get around it.
But I think the answer is a recall. I don't care even if they're big guys anymore. I'm starting to point out that you cannot be like God, just kill them all, but let it slow down.
I like that. But, you know, that's a good point that you make, but I want to tell you something. If you look at this, okay? If you look at this, at the NDAA in its entirety, right? Aids, assist, comforts, enemy to wit, Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Muslim Brotherhood. Who in the hell do you think fits that description?
Our president.
Obama?
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Well-
Guys within a plan, and the idea is to bankrupt this country so they can call martial law, because they know economic unrest is going to happen. That's when they call out the big guns. Okay, so prepare for it. Start planning things, and I'm not being a conspiracy theorist at all. I'm saying stock up some food and water, and prepare for it, because it's not just the government or the police are going to have to fear. It's those people who want something that you have that they don't. Could be a neighbor that you were friends with for 20 years, but his family's starving. He's going to take it easy. And hurt you in the process as well. And like,
They fully intend to make the move this winter.
it's possible, but it's suspect at this point. We don't know what's really wrong because they keep us confused.
I have some friends that are in a kind of a high echelon of military. And actually, my boy works for NASA. He does what's called SpaceNet.
Yeah.
He's been with them for 20 years. And a lot of the stuff coming down the pipe that he's reading right now,
Uh-huh.
they're looking to put the heat on our system.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. You mentioned something about NASA. NASA has a security force,
I
right?
can't talk to my son anymore now. They changed his line and won't even let a phone call from me go through.
Well, that's because they're protecting us from
From him.
Bermuda. You know,
It's coming down a lot sooner than most people think. It's now.
Well, they just finished running
listen to this. NASA has their own swap. Okay.
They just finished running it, and they ran it for the entire month of August, and they kept turning it up a couple decibels a day. And that's why we've had this really kinky weather all the month of July and August. They've been doing
Yeah,
the
you call it Alaska. You know, my brother and I know about
keep
that.
it monitoring it where they are, and through the space net, yeah.
Yeah. you call it-
He's absolutely correct.
Yep. Well, my brother and I come from there. We know about that. So, but you're right. You're right. We don't know what date, but I would say probably sometime this year or close to the
Well, I'm talking about
beginning.
that, no.
Huh?
Get prepped now.
Get prepped now, that's right. You don't know what's gonna happen, we don't know. It circumvents the Supreme Court. Here's an idea, I'll tell you what. Obama, President-elect at the time, in 2008. He goes into, him and Biden meets with Chief Justice Roberts behind closed doors in his chamber, which is uncalled for. It's never heard from him. You don't do that because they're appointed positions. No one knows what was said in there. Supreme Court Justice Kagan helped write Obamacare. They both voted in favor. Shouldn't they have recused themselves from that seat?
Yes.
Obamacare is unconstitutional. I don't care how you look at it. I won't follow it. It's socialistic. I will not be a communist. I will not let our veterans die in vain. I'm not going to let that happen. My father, World War II vet. My uncles, same thing. Stuff like that. I could tell you some stories, but I'd probably lose it. Okay? And I'd rather not. But
Then you'll be paying the fine, you're saying.
no, I'm just saying it hurts me to think about it.
I understand.
Because what they went through for us. And it just hurts me so bad. I've never been in the military. I would have been a 4F or more. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So, I was always trying to be the good guy, you know, I wanted to help people. I got my tips from Adam 12, and Dragnet, you know, all that stuff. Hill Street Blues, I started in 1980. As a kid, just a cadet, didn't know crap. Didn't know the law, put it down on my head, put me out there, gave me a little bit of training. I made a lot of it. But I learned, but thank goodness, not to the extent where everyone else is hurt for it. There's something called internment and resettlement operations. You heard of that?
Yeah.
Look it up if you haven't heard of it. Type in internment and resettlement operations, contents. Let's give you a couple of these. You'll see on the Go Army USA website, picture of an MP standing with his Kevlar helmet, MP on his blazing long arms. Recruiting for military police. So they're training them for general protection and care of detainees. Use military prisoners and dislocated U.S. military prisoners and dislocated civilians. By the way, one of the executive orders is that FEMA can move whole communities. Okay? We don't want that. They can bust you. Right now, we're in a 100-mile zone from the water's edge inland, all the way around the country. It's called a constitution-free zone. That's when Obama moved the borders back 100 miles, remember?
No.
Yes.
Know about that? Yeah.
America is divided up into 10 divisions,
Regions.
10 regions, okay? When they talked about Russian troops coming into the Region 3, that covers Washington, D.C., Virginia, West Virginia, Delaware, Maryland. Region 3, where else? What's in front of the White House? You know, hey, look at these guys saving our lives from these bad communists, you know, and terrorists and Muslims and stuff. You know what? I fear no terrorists. I've never. What the hell's that all about? You guys think that we're got a land full of terrorists?
No.
Is this a battlefield?
The troops out here that arrived,
They
they
are-
got here at the end of June, and they are already settled back there around Obama and Washington. And that's all part of the stepping for what he's going to do this winter.
They're hoping for economic collapse. There's a lot of things that are up there, and we also have intelligence telling us other things. There's more to it than we even have time to talk about. But this has been documented. Everything in here is proof. This was leaked in 2010 from those up top. And you know what I'm talking about, behind closed doors. So what are they talking about? Detainee facilities, holding areas. Let's see. Theater internment facility, strategic internment facility, U.S. battlefield confinement operations principles, clothing, meals and dining facilities, medical care, sanitation. Then they go down to transportation of detainees, civil authority penal systems, resettlement operations, civil military and resettlement operations, Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. Does anyone know about that? It was passed because after the Civil War, during Reconstruction, after 1865, they had military governors down there. General Butler was running Tennessee and the rest of Georgia and whatnot. Not Georgia. And these ladies used to have these chamber pots, and they had a picture of ladies of General Butler in a bottle, and they dumped the chamber pots out the window. And just to make these Union soldiers mad, just to tick them off. Because they were living under military rule. So, by 1878, 15 years later, they enacted the Posse Comitatus Act, which says no military troops can be used to police our soil, American soil. So, the Patriot Act and the AUMF, authorization for use of military force, negated that. no longer have the cosmetonic box. When they call an emergency and it goes into FEMA, they go activate their 10 regions. They have appointed governors for each region that they were not elected, appointed by the president, and there's 10 of them. If you look at the president's cabinet, he's got a whole bunch of Muslims, extremists, some of them linked to extremists, in his own cabinet. Now, I wrote a letter to about 9 senators that I've carefully chosen, including Rand Paul, Orrin Hatch, others, asking them to put a committee together to file charges of treason, aiding the enemy, to wit, NDAA, that this administration should be arrested, including former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, John McCain, Lindsey Graham, now John Kerry, and McCain. So he snuck in the back door through Turkey to go into Syria to be buddies up with the Al-Qaeda, who we put in position during the Iran-Contra, or the Iranian, after the Iran hostage scandal. We built up the Mujahideen, or something like that, I can't pronounce it, but the CIA built that up, armed and equipped them. Now we're fighting on one sand dune, supplying them on another. Some of those guys in Syria came from that sand dune, over there to help fight their Muslim brothers with them, killing Christians. Have you seen the videos? Yeah. It's sickening. Absolutely sickening. To see someone take a man's head, his hands are tied behind his back, take a knife and sharpen this, saw his head. And the guy's not doing nothing. Everyone's all yelling, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. It's real law, you know? No way. We're not going to allow that. Apathy and political correctness are the 2 biggest problems that we have and we're facing in this country. And this doesn't happen that way overnight. It takes time. It takes manipulation through the major media, the 6 major media outlets. In 1996, Clinton signed the Telecommunications Act, knocking off the amount of radio, TV, and newspapers that you could own. The sky's the limit. People like Rupert Murdoch of Australia, billionaire. I don't know how many of these places he owns, but they're all in league with the Council on Foreign Relations, private entity, Trilateral Commission, private entity. Rich people sitting at a desk, smoking cigars, discussing policy for Americans. Hillary says, I like having a CFR down the road just a couple of blocks down, because if I don't know what to do, I go down there and I ask them and they tell me. What the heck is that? I don't get it. She is a communist. And she came out of the closet as a bisexual to the lesbian community and the gay community and all that. I got no problem, I don't care. But she came out because she wants their votes. Obama pulled those borders back because he wants their votes. He's given them everything. It's not entitlements, it's enticements. And they're taking it. Do you know our governor signed the law? That makes it possible for illegal aliens to get operator's licenses. And I said, oh, so that's going to allow them to vote. Oh, no, I called DMV. No, it wasn't. Just so that they can drive. Well, guess what? Now you can go to get your license and you can register to vote.
How do they get their license without an ID and a birth certificate?
They have to have a green card and something else, but we can't even read it.
And the president didn't have to give anything. They wouldn't
That's
take
right.
my copy. When I took my copy, exact copy that the president had shown on TV, I took that in. They said, we can't take that.
Yep. No. He is the most, he has hidden this back. His attorney license, his bar, was taken from him because he lied on a selective service card asking him, have you ever used, no, as a student visa, I think from Indonesia, have you ever used any of the names besides Barack Obama? He checked no. Was that right, Barry? So Toro? Barry whoever you are, was it Davis, maybe? His parents were communists, his grandparents were communists, his mentor, Frank Marshall Davis, communist.
You might have been stopped.
That's-
Valerie
I think
Jarrett,
it is
we
a
think
spot.
so. But Valerie Jarrett, his earpiece, chip, 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 chip.
Yep.
Full-fledged Communist Party USA. Democratic Socialists too. There are 81 confirmed communists in our Congress. Just in our Congress. Look at the Democratic Black Caucuses. Some of them.
Unfortunately, that's not illegal here.
No, it's not.
Okay, so
And I would fight for your right to do what you like, your religion, whatever you want, okay? But what I'm saying is, it's all mixed up, folks. We gotta turn it around. How many of you got kids? You got kids, right? Everybody. I don't have any children of my own, I got stepkids that are grown. And they have kids. I'm kind of stepdad. Step-granddad, whatever. You'll never remember me. Well, anyhow, this is for them. They don't know what's coming. They don't know what's happening. They've been controlled. Luckily, I was born in '62, and I had smart parents who lived through the Depression and fought the World War. And they taught us about communism. I remember having the John Birch Society in our sporting goods store when I was 10 years old. And we had an old 8mm reel, what was that? The millimeter reel we had. Anyway, we had a bunch of chair sets there, and they came in and they gave us a little film, and I remember watching it ever since. I've been interested in it, you know, and started to learn from early age, don't trust the government, okay? And just to show you how much people don't know, the sheriff in another county I talked to recently, when I told him the difference between federal law enforcement and local about signing your own, he said, well, man, Tom, I didn't know anything about that.
They don't want to be.
I sent him a videotape of Judge Napolitano talking just about that very thing. That bolstered my opinion. We know what we're talking about. We may not have it all perfect and all right, but we're trying. So our duty is to make people honor and support that Constitution. Why would it be if they take an oath, what good is it if you don't honor it? That's the number one thing we must do, people. We have to hold these city councilors and county commissioners to their oaths.